folks, Bang Bang here. We're in Southwest Michigan with Ned Christiansen, a gunsmith, who specializes in 1911s, who we met at the pin match up at Central Lake, Michigan. So Ned, I'll let you take it from here if you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you're about, how long maybe you've been shooting.
Okay. Oh, how long I've been shooting? How long ago was when I was 5 or 6 years old? Quite a while. Let's say a couple of decades plus, a couple of decades. So I got into doing the gunsmithing end of things because when I became a young adult and got into competition shooting, I found that I needed certain things done to my guns, and it was expensive to have somebody else do it. It was more than that, it was inconvenient or sometimes impossible. So I took to working on my own guns, and at the time, now I'm talking like late 70s, early 80s, getting a compensator made and checkering and all that kind of thing. It wasn't easy to find somebody to do that, at least in this area. Mm-hmm. So I started doing it on my own guns, and people liked what I was doing. I was a mold maker's apprentice at the time as I got started, became a mold maker. So tool maker, you might say, another way of saying that.
Well, one gun that stands out here right now to me, which is very cosmic looking, like something out of the Jetsons or Lost in Space, which is this 50 GI that has this quite unique compensator with a front sight attached to it and a very, very high rear sight.
Yeah, I know you like that one. So shall I pick that up here?
How do you know I like it?
You keep talking about it.
I know. I can't help it. I like your guns in my hand.
So it's a 50 GI caliber 1911, and in normal configuration, you wouldn't know it from any other 1911 because they're bigger on the inside, same size on the outside. But it's a 50 caliber cartridge, which is the brainchild of, well, it's called 50 GI. GI is Guncrafter Industries. My friend from Denmark there, Alex Zimmerman, came up with a way to make a 50 caliber cartridge that'll fit into a 1911. Now, you can't retrofit any 1911 to 50 GI. Pretty much has to come from them. The problem with compensators or anything else you're going to attach to the end of the muzzle of a recoil-operated 1911 or any other recoil-operated gun, when these things cycle, the barrel and the slide move together, and if we plug a brick onto this thing, the gun can't cycle. It can't pull that weight. So I made this comp out of aluminum just to get the weight down, and it took a little finagling. I had to get some more weight out of the barrel here, but I finally got it running. It runs extremely well now. So that's why that's aluminum. I made one out of Delrin a couple of years ago for one of our other pin shooters up there.
Well, I would say this. That seems like a very big chunk of metal.
Yeah.
And it is, but it's lightweight aluminum. I will tell you, there's no tipping on that firearm as I put it in my hands. It seems balanced fairly well.
Yeah.
There's one thing I want to clue you into, if you haven't seen it already, folks, is since he's a Michigan company, the Michigan is engraved in the side of his compensator.
Now, you'll see that exact same logo on bumper stickers around. I've been seeing it for 5 years now. That was my logo when I started this shop in about 1984. I have 1984 t-shirts with my logo on it, and now it's on bumper stickers all over. And people say, aren't you going to do something about that? And I'm like, no. If Michigan people want to be gun people and show it using that logo, man, I'm happy to have them use it.
Hey, I'm all for it. So now I do know this because I've seen this firearm before. This is his pin gun. This is the one that he's probably going to shoot the majority of the time, which is 45 caliber.
That's one that I built for myself in 1991. So that has a lot of pin miles on it. That's kind of actually my secondary. Now this has the 50 GI has become my main pin gun, but I still love that old gun there. This is one that we'll be shooting today. This again, it's not really recent work. This was experimental some years ago. I'm going to say 2007 or so. And so it also has an aluminum compensator. It's one of the first aluminum comps I made when the big question mark was, can you make a compensator out of aluminum? And it turns out that they hold up okay. Not like steel, but now you noticed something about this one that I'm going to have to fess up. I don't know if that shows up on camera. There's a hole in the bottom of this compensator. That's kind of like, that's not where we want holes. We want holes in the side, in the top, And so why is there a hole in the bottom of that? Because sometimes I make these things up as I go, and I find that I have a little boo-boo once in a while. When you close the slide then, it plugs the hole. And of course, as a gun that I did for myself, certain things, certain boo-boos don't matter that much. I'll live with it. But it turns out that little boo-boo there, and the fact that when the slide closes, the bottom of the comp is closed, sealed off, it doesn't get fouled up, it doesn't make the gun stop running. So in bowling pin shooting, you're shooting at bowling pins, they're only 25 feet away, so really easy to hit, right? It's only 25 feet, yeah. But you have to not just hit it, you have to carry it 3 feet off the back of the table. Although the 50 GI caliber, it's not a rompin' stompin' magnum. It's a mild 50 caliber. If you were shooting one next to a 45, you wouldn't know it. The recoil, the sound, all the impulses are pretty close to 45 ACP. But the 50 caliber, the larger diameter bullet, it seems to give a little advantage in shooting bowling pins. And having the great big comp on there, it doesn't hurt either.
Well, I'll tell you what. I can't wait till we get out to the range and actually shoot this. Now, I know a lot of people up at the pin shoot were ranting and raving about some of the 45s that you've done. But if somebody was to want a 45 or had some specialty work they wanted to want, how would they get in contact with you?
Well, I do have a website. It's m-guns.com. That's the good news. The bad news is the 7-year waiting list. And I'm really not taking any work at this time because I just have my plate full with 1911 work. I have several things I do for a living. They're all gun related. I do police training. I'm writing for Guns and Ammo. I have some AR-15 armor products that I offer. And so at this time, I'm not taking any 1911 work. The one thing that I would have people seek me out for is my AR-15 armor tools.
Well, there you go.
I'm deep into the AR-15. I give AR-15 armor classes. I'm part of an AR-15 police training outfit down in Illinois. There are so many manufactured-in shortcomings with AR-15s, as a lot of people know. I have tools for remedying many of those issues, like the staking of the carrier keys, the chamber issue, and if you don't know what the chamber issue is, look it up somewhere, 5.56 versus 2.23. I have tools for those common shortcomings that are manufactured into an awful lot of guns these days.
I can't thank you enough, Ned, for bringing us to your shop and inviting us into your home and coming down here to see what you're all about and what you've been doing, because you've been nothing but hospitable. But now we get to pack your stuff up and we're going to go do a little shooting.
Okay,
So,
let's see
thank
if any
you
of
very
them work.
much, Ned. And I hope we see a lot more of you at the range.
Likewise.
And, bring somebody else to the next plate rack match.
Okay, sure will. Sure will.
So this 9mm actually, you hear about experiments gone wrong. This one actually kind of went right. I mainly wanted to see how high I could get the tang there, and so if you look in closely on this thing, you'll see there's no grip safety. In fact, I got it so high that the normal pivot hole for the thumb safety is missing. It was here. So now the thumb safety on this one actually pivots up here under the grips. It's not a very convenient thumb safety, but it is a safety. And then the middle strap here is made by me. The back strap, the mainspring housing, has my patented Konamid pattern on there, same as with the front strap. The compensator this is one of those deals where I had a slide, and one day I realized I also had a frame, and then a year later I find I have a 9mm barrel with the hybrid ports, and I kept throwing all these parts in the same box, and pretty soon I had enough parts to do this, so I made a little experiment out of this. The compensator rides above the slide there, and it doesn't work better than other compensators. It works, I guess, as good as some, maybe better than some, maybe not as well as others. But so this is just my little shooting steel 9mm. It's super loud. I use it at an indoor range sometimes in the winter when we shoot bowling pins, and they always tell me that they're worried I'm going to catch the ceiling tiles on fire because there's quite a storm coming out there. So that's the story on this one.
So folks, we're going to do a little range testing here. We're going to show you what his product is all about and highlight it and see what you think. Okay, folks, now we're up to the 45. This is his 45 pin gun.
Yeah, this 45 pin gun, it's been shooting pins for a long, long time. Probably shot, I don't know, 40, 50,000 pins with this one over the years. Before the 50 GI came along that we're going to talk about, 45 was and really continues to be the caliber for shooting bowling pins. And this was my 1991 version of what I thought a pin gun should be. It's really, there's more to it than a person really needs for a pin gun. For a pin gun, one probably ought to have a compensator on there. Apart from that, all it has to do is work with pin loads that tend to be a little on the stout side. This one has a mag well and all of that stuff. Well, in pin shooting, if you're reloading, you're already behind the curve, so mag wells aren't really necessary on a pin gun. But you can kind of tell by the squared trigger guard, that's the era that this one was done in. And a little kind of a semi-fiber optic orange front sight. And I still use it. I have a better pin gun now, but this one actually gets me by really, really well. And I brought it today to shoot steel with.
This is really cosmic looking, but it freaking works. So, Ned, take it away.
Okay, so 50 GI. My friend that came over from Denmark years ago came up with this. Alex Zimmerman from GI stands for Guncrafter Industries. And he figured out a way to put a 50 caliber cartridge into a 1911.
Okay, folks, now it's my turn to shoot the 50 GI. So if you noticed earlier, before when Ned was shooting, we put bowling pins downrange, kind of changed it up a little bit. So here we go, lost in space. Let's see what we can do. Folks, one thing I want to elaborate on, this is an American company. Just like the other ones, support American companies. One thing I noticed on his compensator, he's from Michigan, so he's got the Michigan etched in the side of his compensators. I think that's very unique. I like that. So support people who support the shooting industry. This guy does that. So,
question for you, Mike. Was your hand okay after shooting the GI?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. It wasn't that bad, was it?
No, it was manageable.
Yeah.
I think it was more percussion than it was actual recoil.
Yeah, there's a little bit of noise coming out of here.
Yeah, but thank you very much. This is the end of our video. Hopefully we see you in the future a lot more. We see you at some of our plate rack matches, and we definitely know you're going to see us next year at the Pin Shoot.
Pin Shoot.